Okay, so the second form of stop loss insurance for a self-funded healthcare plan, aggregate deductible. So last video we talked about specific, so that's per individual there. So then what about the scenario of having claims in this example here, the dots representing the claims here, all below the specific deductible, but we have a high amount of pretty high claims below the specific deductible. How do I make sure that I'm not spending a ton of money on a per employee per month basis? And that's really where the aggregate deductible comes in. And so even in this situation, you could simply have a claim that is above, and that amount here would still be reimbursed based off that specific deductible there. But all the claims really below that is then what would apply to the aggregate deductible, and of which point can be reimbursed or covered by your third-party administrator working in conjunction with that stop loss piece there. So one of the things that we'll also cover is what's called a risk corridor. So saying what is the expected claims level amount here? So one way to put that is say, hey, if I have an employer where the expected claims is $1 million, they're going to put an aggregate deductible depending upon the risk corridor and what your risk tolerance is. That might say, hey, claims above $1.25 million is that's where your aggregate deductible is. Anything that really is below that specific deductible that's not being reimbursed below those individual levels on an aggregate basis, that is what it's going to be covered there. So make sure you check your contract for there. These numbers over here are benchmarking information about what size employers have that aggregate coverage on here. I do find this interesting that less than 1,000, 92%, but then you see a jump up here to 96% from 100 to 249 employers there. That could simply be a mechanism of the different types of coverage that's available there, especially that sub 100. They might just have one aggregate amount on there. So it's a little bit different than this one where it's just, hey, here's all the coverage, whether it be one specific claim or all the claims. But as you see, you get closer down here to some of the very large employer pieces there, and some of them might not have aggregate coverage because they just know what they're budgeting and funding for specifically there. So aggregate and specific deductible are the two really key terms to know when it comes to your stop loss contract of essentially what is your responsibility as an employer if you look at going self-funded.